Devotees of Cartoon Network and Adult Swim's Toonami programming block have no doubt noticed the hype surrounding the upcoming US premiere broadcast of Funimation's English translation of the Japanese anime series SSSS.GRIDMAN, and anime fans in general, even if they've yet to indulge the series themselves, are likely aware that the handsomely produced offering from Studio Trigger was one of the biggest stories in the genre of the last several seasons. What many of them may not be aware of, unless they're a little bit older and have fairly long memories for extremely minor chunks of pop culture flotsam, is that part of the reason the very existence of this series and its return to broadcast on US shores is something of a big deal has its roots of origin in a janky 90s Power Rangers clone that barely anyone remembers. Okay, actually that's not totally the case. This honestly does have a legacy and a somewhat substantial one, which has recently become rather newsworthy again, which is why we're bothering to talk about it. But actually explaining why that is requires a bit of retroactive history and some breaking out of the good old-fashioned TV is weird. So, yeah, I assume by now everyone already knows this part of the history, but just in case, Power Rangers started out as, and is still now, an Americanized reworking of footage from Japan's long-running Super Sentai television franchise made possible by the heroes of said series wearing face-obscuring helmets, making it easier to replace the out-of-costume footage with new scenes featuring American main characters. And whatever you might think of the relative quality of the early Power Rangers, it worked. The mix of low-budget teen sitcom and surprisingly violent Japanese superhero action series clicked like nobody's business, and the repurposed old footage another studio already shot to market toys Japan already made was so temptingly cost-effective a production strategy for Hayao Saban, a bunch of other Western producers opted to take a shot with their own versions. And Saban also himself tried at least 3 more times with VR Troopers, Masked Rider, and Big Bad Beetleborgs, mostly with middling to non-existent success. And since you can't say middling to non-existent success in merchandise-oriented children's programming without them turning up somewhere, Deke Entertainment partnered up with Playmates to find a yet unclaimed Japanese action show of their own to make bad television from. But whereas Saban had laid claim to Super Sentai and literal decades of prior history there, Deke ended up picking up Denko Chojin Gridman, or Lightning Superman Gridman, a then brand new single-season production, this was 1993 or thereabouts by way of contact, from Tsuburaya that have essentially crossed the studio's most famous creation, the Ultraman series, with Tron. Wait, do I have time to coherently explain the Ultraman franchise here? Nope. Anyway, the series, which was also called Gridman the Hyper Agent when translated to other territories, was about a group of computer-savvy high schoolers who, while attempting to develop a video game on their homemade computer terminal, are contacted by the interdimensional alien law enforcement agent Gridman, who needs their help, specifically the help of the powerful video game hero body avatar, weapons, and vehicles they've designed to thwart an attack on Earth's electrical infrastructure by a sinister entity that inhabits the internet dimension, and has enlisted one of their classmates, a dark withdrawn loner, to create virus monsters he can control. By merging with Gridman, the leader of the kids is able to enter the digital world and fight the viruses face-to-face using the various weapons and armor designed by his friend. Anyway, it played like this. What I imagine jumps out pretty quick is that unlike Power Rangers, where the US producers had to do a lot of heavy lifting to rework the fantasy and sci-fi heavy Super Sentai footage into the new storylines, Gridman's basic setup was pretty much well suited to Western kids TV already, what with the young heroes and the high school setting, so Deke was pretty much able to do a more narratively faithful adaptation, though they still shot entirely new non-action footage with American actors and only closely adapted certain episode plots. Their result looked like this.
Crash into the digital world! Servo, look out! Megavirus monsters! Xenon, Samurai with Servo to become Superhuman Samurai Synchro. Way to fry us, circuits. Servo, they're back. Drago, Samurais with Servo to become Superhuman Samurai Formo. That Megavirus monster is micronized. Deluxe Servo, Deluxe Drago, and Deluxe Xenon. Samurais for your protection. Superhuman Samurai Cyber-SQUAD.
Yeah, now you remember. Superhuman Samurai Cyber-SQUAD ran for a single season jointly in syndication and on ABC, actually getting a pretty big initial push, largely because ostensible star Matthew Lawrence had been tipped as a next big thing teen heartthrob at the time, owing to his older brother Joey having been a breakout star in the same vein on the sitcom Blossom. Matthew was later in the more well-known Boy Meets World and other projects. Like Gridman, Cyber-SQUAD didn't last longer than one season and didn't really catch on with US audiences in a big way on TV or as toys, and it didn't seem as though either one was going to have left much lasting pop culture impact. Until about 4 years ago. See, in 2015, Tsuburaya, an anime production house, Studio Trigger, surprised everyone with an anime short film from Akira Amamiya called Boys Invent Great Hero, which served as the pseudo-sequel tribute to the original Gridman. It went over big, and 2 years later, the same team announced a full-on anime reboot of the original series concept, SSSS.GRIDMAN, which incorporated elements of both the original series and the American version. The SSSS has its own eventual meaning in the show, but is also a deliberate nod to Superhuman Samurai Cyber-SQUAD, while also taking the concept in darker, more complex, and eventually twisted directions that are kinda hard to get into without spoilers.
もっと前から
What do you mean? Do we have a history?
Today is the most we've ever spoken to each other.
It would appear we had some unexpected company show up.
But anyway, unlike the comparatively minor impact that the live-action predecessors had on their genre, this was a big hit in the world of anime, with Tsuburaya only days ago announcing a follow-up series, SSSS Dynazeon. So, if you ever woke from a 90s nostalgia daydream wondering, did I imagine one of the Lawrence brothers was in a weird Power Rangers clone for like a few months in 94, or did that actually happen? Yes, it did. And somewhat improbably, it is still happening today. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.